Today is Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. Calling a Community Preservation Committee meeting to order at 6:31. Members present are myself, Gina Gasconi, Chair, Carlton Hunt, Vice Chair, Jeff Merriman, Harry Bailey, Maureen Menasian, and Pat Driscoll. Thank you all for being here. Next, Chair's announcements. As you know, we have a new acting town manager for 90 days. And if we don't have a permanent one in those 90 days, their contract could be extended. As Blythe Robinson. She had hoped to join our meeting tonight, but she had a pre-planned vacation from planned ages ago, so she hopes to get to our next one. And I welcome Blythe to the town as acting town manager. We'll hit into more when Austin speaks about the annual public hearing, a 5-year plan. But the focus groups that I listened to probably about 3.5 of them, one I had to jump off of. I thought they were well attended, great suggestions. And I just want to say that the survey has been released. It's been posted on, we have hard copies around, but it is posted on Facebook on the community preservation page, the town page, Bridgewater residents, and Bridgewater 02324. And just as exciting as to all that, the town Haley Driscoll administration that over $27 million was awarded for conservation, open space, and park projects through the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. Bridgewater was part of that 27 million. We were awarded 500 million. Losing my voice tonight. I wish it was 500 million. Let me correct that. 500,000 sounds a little better. For the Summer Street Park. And our project description is the project will transform an abandoned gas station property into an in-town urban park with covered areas for picnics, outdoor chess, and other board game tables, and outdoor table tennis tables. So that's good news, because the town had thought they might come back to us for money to help get that park going. So I'm not sure how much they were thinking. I don't think they had actually had any quotes for anything or a final plan, but that $500,000 will help. So we're glad to get that. Okay, that's it for me for public comments. I'm sorry, chair's comments. Any public comments?
Janet Hanson.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, Janet. Pat.
I'm sorry, and then Janet can go. Just to clarify, that $500,000 was in addition to any other grants that we may discuss this evening, correct?
Correct.
That was solely that doesn't cut into anything else, or that was, because I know the 27 million. I know there were some other grants that we may have received, but that is total. This is the first time I'm hearing of this one. It's great, but yeah, that's totally separate, correct?
Correct. We're just notified yesterday about it. Yesterday afternoon.
That's unbelievable. Thank you.
Yep, great. Janet, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
That's okay. I think I'm the only public here, right? I don't have much to say. I just want to hear what you guys are saying, but I heard you say about the survey. I haven't seen it. Where can you find that survey?
Okay,
you said it's posted, but I haven't seen it on Facebook, and I don't know where to look on the
okay, I posted on Bridgewater residents
When did you do that?
yesterday, because I was having trouble trying to attach things before. Um,
'cause-
I also posted to Bridgewater 02324. I posted to the Bridgewater Community Preservation Facebook page, and Josh posted today to the town Facebook page.
Yeah, and it's on the CPC webpage as well.
Okay, good.
Well, it's interesting. I'm on Facebook all the time, more than I probably should, just looking at, I'm only on these groups and I haven't seen it. So like, how's it headed? I mean, I guess maybe Facebook can say what it
If you
wants to
visited
post.
the town's website or Facebook, it's going to be the top right now.
On the town's Facebook. So is it Town of
Right,
Bridgewater
town
Facebook
of
page?
Bridgewater.
Yep. Or if you just go to the CPC webpage under boards, commissions and committees, it'll also be under that.
All right, I'll try again, but just so you know, maybe I'm the only one in town, but I have not seen it on the Bridgewater residents or the 02324. I'll look again on the town. So I just want to let you know, it's not like it's like, here I am, there's a survey. So, and, that's
Yeah,
it.
if you have trouble, reach out to me and I'll make sure I'll send it to you.
Sure.
This Carl, I'll just give you a quick head. I tried to click on the link that's on the which one was it? Town webpage. Whatever Josh sent out. I tried to click on it and that link didn't seem to be active, at least on my phone. I've let Austin know and hopefully we can make sure, maybe somebody else can check and see if that link is live.
Okay, if
Right.
it's the link that says tiny URL, that was part of my problem posting when I originally tried, when we got the survey. Then when I tried again, it did work. If you go into, I tested the links that I posted on the Bridgewater Facebook pages, and the link does work.
The only other thing and probably has nothing to do with you guys and is way off, but you know, when they did Mr. Dutton and the woman who is in charge of the not necessarily in charge of the mobile station, they showed pictures of possibility of what it could look like. And the one thing that I'm going to still keep commenting on is that awning that they put as like a cover. And I wasn't the only one, didn't think that really went with the area. It really wasn't conducive. So I'm hoping that rendition of the awning that they put up, it will not be part of that project. I don't know who would be in charge of that, or I'm assuming that maybe we're down the road, those options will be presented, but I just wanted to make that comment. So otherwise, I'm just gonna have to hear what you guys are talking about tonight, because I can't think of any other questions other than that survey.
Great.
Janet,
I
I've communicated with the design person and that was all pretty much everything you could do. I don't believe there's a final design. I could be wrong. Maybe Josh knows, but
Yeah,
it's my
when
understanding.
we were working on the grant, it wasn't a final design, and that was explained when they came for the site visit as well.
Oh,
It was
that's
just
good.
like you said, Carlton, we're trying to get as much on there as we could possibly think of, and then work out the details.
That's good,
Once we
'cause-
knew what we were working with.
Yeah, I wasn't the only one that made comments about that I mean, you look at it, oh, it looks pretty, and then they got this weird looking, modern looking cover. And I said, well, that doesn't go. So that was all I wouldn't have any other comments until I hear what you guys are saying tonight.
thank you so much for your
Thank you.
input. Okay, approval or any other public comments? I think as Janet said, she's the only public here. Other than Austin, we'll hear from him soon. Approval of minutes, the July minutes that we deferred last month to this month. Unfortunately, a wrong version was sent out, so Josh is going to put it up on the screen. We're going to try to read it. If it's too difficult for people, we can defer again. Okay, remember, you can pinch it out too on your screen to make it larger.
No,
Was it too?
it's not readable. Got to go the other way. Thanks. Keep going. It's close. Good. For me, at least. My eyesight's not that good, so I can read it now.
Did you just want me to slowly scroll it?
Yeah,
Okay.
just give it like a few seconds, like slower
Can you scroll?
than you're scrolling.
Can you go back up a little bit? I was just reading. No, the other way. Up. Good. Thank you.
Carlton, just yell when you're set.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm good with everything so far. Other people chime in.
Okay.
I'm good at this point. I'm done reading. I hope everybody else is.
Yep. Everybody else set? Okay. Don't everybody answer at once.
I'm okay.
Okay, good.
Looks good
Thanks.
to me.
Great. Okay, do we have a motion to accept them? Again,
I put a
don't-
motion out to accept the meeting notes.
From July 24th.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. Discussion?
And yeah, Josh, you'll post this somewhere obvious so people can access it, right?
Yeah.
Josh,
Yep.
Great.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, Josh, roll call.
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Great, thank you. The August 28th minutes. You got in your packet. Hopefully, has everybody had a chance to read it? Or if not, we can defer that till the next meeting.
I read it.
Okay, everybody else read it?
I'm good.
Okay, you're good. Okay, I just lost my, come on, there we go. Pat or Harry, Jeff?
I've
I'm all
read
set.
it.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks fine.
Okay, great. Okay, do we have a
Motion to accept a motion to accept the August 31st minutes for CPC.
yes, second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
August- I'm just gonna correct that, August 28th. Or that
I'll
may be
accept
it.
that.
Okay,
I'll accept
um,
friendly mail.
okay, a second on that?
Second.
Good, thanks, Harry. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Josh, roll call.
Gina,
Yes,
Carlton,
Yes,
Harry,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
great, thank you. Excuse me, you were sent out in your packet the July 31st financial. We also received after that the August 30th. I have to stop and figure how many days in the month. Josh is going to put up the August 30th one because that shows little different format, plus it shows the tax money that was brought in. Taxes were due August 2nd, so that I think it was August 2nd. Some of the income showed in the July statement, the rest of it showed in August.
just a little bigger, please. Excellent.
There, you can see that so far, they, for real estate surcharge, the estimated amount was $875,000. And we've already received 252 of it. So it's actually more than 25%, 25% thinking we have 4 quarters.
It's actually 29%.
Okay, good. So that shows an, I apologize if I keep coughing. The expense budget to actual, we had talked for ages about putting a column in for the original project budget. And Laurie Greeny has added that in for us. So for example, the Broad Street lots, the original amount was 340,000. What's left starting this year is 36,400, and nothing's been paid this year. Styles and Hart, it was 1.3 million awarded as of the start of fiscal 25. It was 1,091,000 and change. And you can see how much is spent and what's still available. So hopefully that added column.
Ju- Could I just
Yeah.
make a comment on these 1,000 Hart? That's the amount that has been spent this fiscal year. The
Correct,
total amount that's been sent is something over 485,000.
correct, right,
And you get that by looking at the difference between the 1.3 million and the available funds, 815.
right. So thank you. So that's good. We have good income. I was always confused without looking at like what the fiscal year budget amount was, knowing that wasn't what we started with. So hopefully I wasn't the only one that would get confused by it. And hopefully this makes it clearer. If you look at the unofficial balance sheet, if you take the total, what's in yellow is the total of all from our report before that, it's in yellow, all the encumbered funds. So that's that total. So if you take the grand total 3.9 million and subtract 1.5, I didn't do the math, but Carlton, do you have a total for that?
Yeah, $202,405,088.
So
That's available across all those categories,
we're
not each category, but across.
right, and that doesn't include administrative expenses. But so we're in good shape. Thanks, Josh, for that. Okay, old business, the public hearing and 5-year plan. I'm going to defer to Austin from JM Colson for a report.
Gina. So the forum we have scheduled for November 4th at 6 p.m. It'll be on Zoom. And we have sent out that that update through the town's Facebook page as a save the date for that date. And we've drafted some flyers also to share that information that have the Zoom link and everything. I've already made the Zoom link and shared it with Gina and Carlton. So we are all ready to go for that. And our task now is to start really hammering the outreach to make sure that everybody knows about it, that there's regular updates and reminders to make sure that we have good attendance at that event. So I had a few things that I wanted to cover just in terms of the 5-year plan update process, how the focus groups and the survey and the open house fit into that schedule. So I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind. All right, can you all see my screen now?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the project schedule as it currently stands. We are here. So the survey is open now, planning to be open for the next 3 weeks or so, so that we can have a summary ready for your packet for your next meeting. The focus groups have just wrapped up, and I'll give a little summary of those, kind of preliminary update, just as we're drafting that summary for your packet for next month as well. And for next month, we'll also have a draft version of the plan without updated goals or priorities yet, because those will be ideally talked about at this next meeting based on these results from the engagement thus far. So that's where we're standing now in terms of that engagement. The forum is here on the 4th. I also wanted to highlight, in case we wanted to extend the survey, in case we're not seeing as many results as we want to, or we see some benefit in making another last minute push, we can extend this deadline another 2 weeks or so. We would just ideally want it to be closed before the date of the forum so that we can take the results from that survey, kind of summarize them, and then bring them to the forum to present them. So the forum is going to act really as our double check on everything that we've heard so far. So that's kind of an update on that engagement process. After the forum, the engagement for the plan in terms of our design scope for the project, there's of course always public comment at these meetings, but in terms of our design scope, that is the end of the organized public engagement for the plan. That I know that we have some kind of TBD meeting dates in November and December just because of the proximity to the holidays. So pending those dates, we should be ready to discuss the draft plan again in November, hammer out some kind of updated vision, principles, priorities, and goals for the plan to make sure it's up to date with everything that we've heard from engagement. We'll do a first revision from that draft plan that we'll present next month, and then do a final revision in December and into January, and then present that final plan, that updated 5-year plan for you at your January meeting. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So in terms of the focus groups, like Gina said, the turnout was great. The focus groups are kind of a thing that you want to have the right number of people at, because if you have too many people, it can be a challenging dynamic and more difficult to kind of get in depth with people about all of the funding categories. So as I talked with Jen, she had a very good feeling about how all the focus groups went and the kind of engagement and feedback you all were able to receive, and the depth of the conversations that you were able to get into. And based on my review of her notes and of the meeting recordings, a lot of the comments that were received really did align with the existing. I'll stop sharing my screen here. A lot of the comments that were received really do align with the existing funding goals from the previous 5-year plan. So that's interesting to note that there's a lot of kind of common priorities that are being carried over. One of the recurring themes that really came up, and I think Gina may be able to speak to this as well, is that there's a desire to see projects that meet multiple goals and kind of tap into multiple funding categories, to see projects that kind of have a very broad appeal. There's also a desire to see some kind of balance in the projects between open space, historic preservation, and needs for housing development. So that it kind of touches again on the need to prioritize projects that really cross over multiple categories as well. And another priority that came up was long-term sustainable management of resources. And that's everything from trails to parks to housing. So that's a kind of update on the preliminary focus group results. I'll have a more complete summary of the focus groups for you at your next meeting, as I mentioned earlier, to discuss alongside results from the survey. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was outreach for the forum. So as I said, that's coming up on November 4th at 6 p.m. We've designed share my screen one more time. All right. So we've designed 2 different versions of these flyers that are ready to go, and I'll send them the updated versions to Gina and Carlton tonight to make sure that they can be forwarded out to everyone here in the committee. These are a great thing to be able to send out to other boards and committees, to be able to send them out to other groups that you're a part of in town, because this includes kind of all the information that you really need to get out. Both the time and the date, the Zoom link, my email. If anyone has questions, I can give them a little rundown of the process as well. Sorry, computer's having a little moment. As well as an update on this survey. So the targeted end date for the survey, we can of course change that if we feel like we're not getting enough responses. And this QR code, in case it's printed out, people will be able to scan that with your phone, and it'll take them right to the survey. So I'll get these.
Have you received many surveys yet?
Yeah, so we've gotten 32 responses so far, and I checked that just before the meeting. So and that's pretty great, since the Facebook post was made just this afternoon. So that's awesome to see that response already. And I'm sure that once you all each share that Facebook post on your own profiles, that it'll get even more traction as even more people see it. So to help with the outreach for this forum, we've put together an outreach checklist. I'll share that right now as well. So this, and I'll send this over to you all as well. I'll send it to Gina and Carlton so they can send it out to you all. But ideally, what I'd like to do right now is have a kind of round robin to kind of nail down some responsible parties for who's going to take charge of some of these tasks in here. So some of them I've taken the liberty of filling in myself, and I'll zoom in a bit to make sure everyone can see this. Gina, I hope it's okay. I assigned you this one, assigning committee responsibilities.
Sure.
sending a blast save the date email to boards, committees, and departments. This is a very broad one. So this is something I think we will want to coordinate on who's reaching out to who. But I'm happy to email or I'm happy to coordinate with Josh, actually, since Josh has all of these emails to boards, departments, and committees. That would be great to get out one email just to everyone with a version of that flyer to make sure that everybody knows the date, the time, the Zoom link, and the survey link as well, and have everything in one package.
Good, and I can post again on the Facebook pages, the three, the two town pages, not actual sponsored by the town, but Bridgewater residents and Bridgewater 02324 and community preservation.
Gotcha.
Plus, I think if we all send out just, if you have Facebook or an email list, that we can all reach out to friends, family, anybody.
And also reaching out in physical locations is great as well. So I know that one of you attends a Monday morning walking group, because that's something we talked about earlier in this process when we were doing our engagement plan.
Yeah.
So I'll send out a sign up sheet as well. I actually have this here. But this is just a sign up sheet based on all of the groups and organizations that we brought up earlier on in this process, who people are kind of in contact with in town. So I'll send this out for a little more ease of coordination in terms of who's doing outreach to who and who has connections with each of those groups. And the outreach really can be as simple as mentioning it to people. If you put the flyer and put yourself into the schedule for any of the committees that you're also on, or any ones that you want to attend to do a public comment, bringing up the flyer, putting it in their packet, super easy thing to do, and can do a lot with a little. So I think sending out those emails is a great thing to do this week. So I'll put in 27th of September. That's Friday. So Gina and I and Josh will tag team that to get emails out to those organizations, boards, committees, and commissions. And then 4 weeks before the event, so this will be in 2 weeks or so. The way we set up this outreach checklist is kind of in terms of how close you are to the event, because the way that you'll want to reach out to people will be a little different, just based on how close it is. So at this stage, we're sending out save the date emails, sending out initial information, taking questions, comments, and basically sharing all the info for this open house forum. Closer on to the,
Austin,
yeah,
can I interrupt for a second?
please, yeah.
We are planning that this meeting on November 4th will actually be our annually required public hearing. So it will be conducted as a hearing. So having signups, great, but it still has to be posted as a public meeting. And that has to be put in the newspapers twice, at least, I believe it's 2 weeks before the hearing.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Well, that's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page, it's a public hearing.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate that clarification. So that having it be required to be posted is helpful as well. So that's two outreaches already taken care of. So we have made a more informal event page on Eventbrite, which is a website where you can post event pages. So just show it to you before anything happens with it, but it's just includes the date and the time, a link to the Zoom room, and place for people to add it to their calendar. So in addition to the outreach that the town does, we wanted to have this additional online way that people can find it online. Because sometimes when people are searching events in Bridgewater, things like this will come up. So we wanted to make a little page like that And everyone that does add it to their calendar or register through this can receive a reminder email automatically, kind of like we did with the focus groups.
This
So
is Carlton
that-
again. That's great. That's great. I would suggest that possibly it's up to you guys, but the front page of our policies and procedures document has a collage that shows different CPC funded projects. You might want to throw that up there rather than this particular picture. Take a look at it, see if it makes sense.
Appreciate
It's
that.
my only suggestion. Otherwise,
Thanks, I was just writing that down. That is a great idea. So another thing that we would like to do closer onto this event, and I'll send an email to Gina to remind you all to do this, is to personally invite 10 people by phone or in person. So this is a little more personal than an email or a social media update. But it really helps to make kind of that like in-person connection with people, because there's a lot going on social media. There's a lot going on the internet, but having something that someone personally invites you to is a lot more compelling. Even if it's going to be a virtual event, having an in-person invite is a very, very helpful thing. So ideally, I'd like to get a promise from you tonight, each of you. You don't have to name 10 people right now. I couldn't probably think of 10 people to invite off the top of my head, but a promise at least that you'll personally invite 10 people to the forum to make sure that we've got some good engagement there and some good attendance.
I'll start. I will. Actually, the Monday morning walking group is more than 10 people, but so I'll do a few more too. A few more groups as well. Anyone
I
else?
appreciate that.
Yeah, I can do that. I promise to do that.
Great.
I can access the list that probably can get called down, but it'll be 150 people.
That's okay.
I volunteer at the transfer station. I can have as many as you want.
That's good, Harry. Thank you.
That sounds like honestly.
To Harry's
Mhm.
point, we probably could I think we could put some flyers out there, right? That's allowed, Harry. If you had some flyers to hand out, that would be great. I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can hand out flyers, but we can't put them there because Rick doesn't do politics.
This technically isn't politics.
It's technically not rubbish, and he don't want it in there. But I talk to everybody anyway, and I can have them in my pocket and hand them out.
Good. And we can, I know Roche Brothers has a bulletin board. And I think, I'm trying to think Revolution Coffee, I think does, but I'm not sure. We can check the coffee shops as we go into them. And we can post something too. I'm sure the town clerk would let us post it there too. Okay.
And to
No,
your offer to hand things out, I did make these larger flyers, but I'll make another thing that's smaller, easier to fit into your pocket if you print it out.
oh, good. Thank you.
A quick question, Austin. The town's
Yeah.
responsible for printing those out, not you guys, correct?
Correct. Yeah, but I'm happy to draft something together, put together a design for that flyer or that little postcard. Yeah.
And so if you have to put a name to it, that would be up to Josh to get them printed out. I don't want to overburden him, but because I've already requested a number of the survey flyers so that I can take them around to various places. And we need to focus on that, but Josh will be responsible, correct?
I was going to actually ask a question on that, Carlton. I'm glad you
Sure.
brought it up.
Sure.
So we can't print in color. And they can, depending on the color scheme, it can turn out kind of bad looking. If you wanted to print in color, we can send an order into Bridgewater Print. We would just I think that just come out of your administrative account. I'm not sure how that would work.
How many do we need? These are just one-page flyers, Josh? Carlton?
Yeah,
gonna-
yes.
How many do we need?
I was looking for, in one case, I think, Josh, I was looking for 25. I was gonna put some at the senior
I mean,
center, some
I
at the-
can print, I mean, we have color commercial printers at our office. I can print off 100 or 200 of them if you want. It's,
so if you're willing to do that pro bono, that's
yeah,
great.
just send me the PDF. I'll print them off and I'll get them to Carlton or Gina this week.
Great.
I'll do it
thank you,
tomorrow
Pat.
if you get it to me.
Great. Now for the postcards, should we have them a heavier stock than just paper?
The only thing I can do is regular like WB Mason paper, but it'll be color.
Right.
So
And that,
if that's what you
great
want,
for
I'm
the-
happy to just run them through my machine at work.
Right. Okay. And that would be good too. The postcard size, we could probably, I don't know how many we could fit on a page, but one of us can cut them up too.
I mean, if you want a heavier stock, we'd have to go to Bridgewater Print, but if you want me to print off 100 of them, 50 of them, 200 of them, whatever you want, I can print them off
Okay.
in color.
Good. Great. Thanks, Pat.
Pat, I will send you the postcards that I had requested that Josh do, so we can unload it from him, and tink you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
but
Thanks.
We can just do it. If you guys, is it ready to go now?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
available. For the survey, they're available. That's what I was talking towards. For the forum, maybe the smaller, heavier stock might be worthwhile.
Right. That
Right,
we'd
well-
have to go to the printer for.
Well, Gina or Carlton, if you want me to do it, I have the printers at the office. We can
Mhm.
print them off in 10 minutes. So just let me know and I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Sounds good. Great. Thank you, Pat. Great. Austin, you're up again.
Great. So, let's see. Where was that?
Well, you're screen sharing. Are we limited to how many people we can have on a Zoom?
No, there isn't a limit.
Okay.
Not on our end. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So closer up to the event,
I'll take on I'm jumping ahead. I'll take on the request for the cable TV. I've sent them a request to post the survey on their sites and use that. So I'll take care of the local access cable.
great.
and both of them.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you. So the other thing is, if you have any press releases that you want to have put out, we're happy to draft any content.
Mhm.
Any rough draft content, I can send that right over to you. Just let me know what who you'd want it to be directed to or anything like that. I'm happy to put together any press releases. And the postcards that Carlton had mentioned are geared toward the survey. I can make another one tomorrow morning that includes both the survey and the forum, if that would be helpful to print out.
Yep. I think that
I
would be good.
I had already sent a statement about the survey to, I can't remember. It's the online newspaper that's in town. Can't think of it. Anyway, I did. Who again? I'm sorry?
I'm not sure if somebody's trying to answer. I know what you mean. And
Well,
guess-
I sent it to her, but if we had a formal press release, it would be even better.
right.
And I
Okay.
can send it to her.
Would you like any support drafting that, or do you think you have it covered? Let me know.
Okay. I
Um,
would. Okay, I'd like to say you're probably more accustomed to drafting the press releases for these things. I mean, I've drafted before, I'm sure most of us have. But I think if you send us something that has sounded good in the past,
Mhm.
that would be
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that over by the end of the week, if that's okay.
good. Okay,
All right. So then closer up to the event, when we're coming up on 2 weeks, a day before, that's when we'll really want to start kind of sharing things on social media more actively. In the past, we've also created little video interviews, which is kind of like a 30-second, 1-minute video, just a little overview about the CPA planning process, and here's what's going on. Our team can also help support through that. We can write a script for you all to appear in it. Probably better for one of you on the committee to be in a video if you want to make one. This is also not required at all. It's just something that people have found engaging in the past.
okay,
Probably better for one of you all to do it if you want to go that route, rather than us on the consultant team, just based on experience.
okay. And if we decide to go that way, Jeff Fowler, who's the head of BTV, Bridgewater TV, he's always more than glad to help with making little snippets of things.
Yeah, and I'll connect with him on that.
So that,
And
in
then
essence,
just
yeah,
a quick question, that will just be for the hearing forum, right?
I'm expecting just for the forum, but if
Thank
you
you.
want to mention the survey in it, if it's able to get out fast enough, it depends how quickly we're able to pull it off. If you can pull it off
I'll
quick,
do my best to get it
absolutely.
done.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we could
I'll do my,
probably do both. One for that mentions the survey and the forum, and one as we get closer, just the forum.
Sounds awesome. All right, so that is what I had for preparing for the outreach for these events. Does anybody have anything that any kind of key outreach strategies that you've worked on in the past, or anything that you've seen around town that you feel has been particularly effective that you think you want to replicate for this process?
What we did, I think 5 years ago, and it was probably just a couple weeks before that nasty COVID came around. It was in person, but we also offered food that brings people out, but it's kind of hard to do food for a virtual meeting. But I think the steps that you've mentioned, and if we all work to get people to go, to attend, to do the survey, to attend the forum, I think it'll be more than a success. And I have too, I was looking, I hadn't seen it before, but just the other day, I was looking at the town manager's page, and he has posted, or someone there, Josh is off, but I'm not sure who did it in that office, but they posted results of the survey for the mobile station uses. And they, instead of just, in addition to just the bar graph of who answered what, or what the categories were, they also had a list of comments, and I was scrolling through, and there's probably a lot that could be taken as active and passive recreation or open space suggestions. So I can send that along to you too, if it's any help.
Yeah, that'd be very helpful. Absolutely.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments for Austin? Janet just asked a question, and I think it's great. We actually have 2 comments. Okay, one was from Josh. If we're having a table at Autumn Fest, which is like Saturday, this Saturday, we could put flyers there. I know that Mary McGrath, who's a town councilor, has a table there. That she got it specifically with the approval of the former town manager to bring attention to boards, committees, commissions. If we have flyers, I'm sure she'd let us put them there too for Saturday. And I'd be glad to take them there if we have them.
That sounds like a great idea. And if you end up taking any comments, I think it's always helpful if you're there with a table to
Mhm.
also be there with some sticky notes and some pens, just in case people want to write down any kind of comments. Anything that you collect there that you want to have reflected in this engagement process, if you get it to us, we can make sure that it's included in any results of engagement that we give back to you. So you can see a summary of things people were saying. So if you want to go that route with in-person events, we're absolutely happy to help support with things there. We could help. Let's see, we could put together a poster if you wanted to get a poster printed, like a 24 by 36. Sometimes people like to have a physical thing to put a sticky note onto. We're happy to help with any kind of things like that if you want to go big at these.
Well, it's just a table and it's probably a 5-6 foot table. I don't know what else she plans on having on it. But Pat, if I can touch base with you before then, once Carlton or Austin send you the information to print, and I could just take maybe a handful of them for there.
I'll get that to Pat. And I've been working with Mary a little bit on that.
You know where my
Yeah.
office is, right?
Yep.
Just in Estabrook and Chamberlain.
Mhm.
Yeah, just whenever you want to come, whenever you want them, just call me and come on over.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
All right.
Okay,
And
yeah.
Mary's Mary's gonna have it, the book. Gina, Mary, I've been working with her a little bit.
Okay, I
Her
have
focus
to.
is on committees that are not populated with citizen volunteers.
Correct.
So when I suggested we put the survey there, I think she was like, well, I'm only trying to deal with that part, but I think a poster would be great. But we only have 2 days to get it done.
Right. I'm trying, Dennis has a table there as well too, and I'm sure he'll let us put something on his table for it.
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I can talk to him on that, but Pat, I'll touch base with you anyways.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for Austin? Any questions, comments? I guess not.
Well, then if you don't mind, I'll hop off and leave you to your new business.
Great.
But
And
this is great.
You'll send us that checklist.
Yep, absolutely. I'll send you the checklist, the outreach sign up kind of option sheet with the list of networks that we had identified earlier on. And tomorrow I'll draft a smaller postcard that has both the open house and the survey. And so I'll get those right over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Great.
all your work.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great rest of your meeting.
You too. Thank you.
Night all.
Good night. Okay, next on the agenda is old business. Item B, applications received, just Hanson's Farm. The town has received a grant from the MVP. We're not sure how much we can publicly release about that right now, but a grant has been received. With the town needing to put up, I believe, 10% of the award of the grant, the award amount for the grant. CPC anticipates receiving a revised application soon. So I think they're still working on negotiations in the revised application, but that should be coming soon. Any comments, discussion on that?
Without compromising any negotiations between the Hanson family and the town,
Mhm.
Are we close to seeing an agreement with Price or like finalized, or is that, I mean, do we know where that is in the process? Do we have an expected date?
We don't have an expected date, but I anticipate that it will be soon.
Did I lose you?
Nope, it should be soon. We don't have a date.
Pat, I think they're in the process of putting a purchase and sale agreement together.
I'm sorry, my wireless froze. Do we have an expected date for that revised application with the finalized price or no?
No,
Go ahead, Carlton.
Gina just said we don't have a date, but I was saying that it's my understanding that the purchase and sales is in negotiation, and there's some discussion around specific issues, and I believe the conservation restriction will probably soon be under discussion. That's all I can tell you right now. That's what I know.
Right.
I mean, is this something we think will be wrapped up by the end of the year, or is this going into next year, or what's the timeline? Any idea?
We're hoping for this year. We're hoping for sooner rather than later. As Carlton said, it was our understanding they were working on purchase and sale. So hopefully, I've never bought a house or sold a house, so I can't say how quickly that goes, but we've been led to believe that, as I said, it will be sooner rather than later. Okay, anything else on that, Pat?
No, I'm anxious to get it done, as I'm sure the Hansons are. It would be nice to, I don't know if we can reach out, if you can reach out to our attorney, Gina, and get an update, or.
Okay, we can.
I spoke with him at the last meeting, and what he told me was it's in a positive direction. That's about as much as he told me.
Okay.
And that was a recent conversation.
Right, the acting town manager will be back, I want to say the 3rd, October 3rd, so we can reach out to her too for an update. To see if she knows any more. But I agree that I'd like to see it wrapped up soon too. For the town, and especially for the Hansons that have been going through this since, it seems like since forever. Maybe it'll be a nice Christmas present for everybody, a holiday present that it will be cleared up. Or not cleared up, but completed. Okay. Item old business C, project updates in process. Styles and Hart is going well. I actually had somebody reach out to me that I spoke to this afternoon that's interested in donating a park bench in memory of someone. Parks and Rec also had another person reach out. So I know we want to standardize things between all the parklands. So I'm going to, my thought was to refer both of those people to John Hart, the chief steward for all the parklands, who's been working closely on the Styles and Hart improvements, and have him bring it forward to the engineering company for what they recommend. But it's coming along well. I had thought it would be done by the fall, but last we heard, I believe, Carlton, correct me if I'm wrong, they said probably the spring.
Yeah, there's an issue with a small piece of property there that has to be finalized, so they can figure out the final trail path, one of the final trail paths. And I don't know when that'll get done.
Right, and I had mentioned at the last meeting and that there was part of the packed gravel that looked to me like it was collapsing in. I walked there a week ago. I didn't see those pieces anymore, so they must have patched them and built them up again. And I believe they're working on a punch list to get it set. So that's coming along good. I encourage people to walk it. Carlton, for the next one, the Hemlock Drive, he's the liaison for that, and he met with the housing authority, and he can fill us in on that.
Yeah, I'll be submitting a written meeting event report. I did meet with the Bridgewater Housing Authority, BHA. We went through a number of things. The important pieces are they had sent a letter to us back in December 13th, 2023, requesting a scope change because they had received a Mass Low Income Affordable Network, a LEAN grant. But it turns out that the LEAN grant only would cover the glass in the windows, not the framing and woodwork and all that. And so they decided that grant was withdrawn, canceled, and the BIHA applied for what's called a HILAPP, a HILAP grant, and they were successful in part because they had CPA funds that were significant, and that helped that grant come through. That grant, I was told, was up to $500,000, and what we provided is a little bit under 400. And so they've got approximately 900,000 to work with, and the scope for CPA funding remains unchanged. It's basically the framing, the portico repairs, that kind of thing. I was also informed that they would be only using this funds for the back window, the windows on the back side of the buildings on Hemlock Drive and the porticos there. So there's a number of actions. We went over through what we require for documentation, communication, and invoicing, and I developed a tickler list in terms of what happens next. Basically, I'm updating you. Oh, the project schedule, that's what's important, is they would plan to release a bid this October with a 30-day turnaround for anyone bidding on the project, and then an award being made in December. And then in March of 25, there would be a notice to proceed. So right now that they're in a bidding process, and so we won't hear much from them until that's done. I will be scheduling monthly meetings with them once the contract starts. I'm sending this note because I agreed that I'd let the CPC know this. It's a note to record. I've checked on the CPA requires project signs be placed in this kind of CPA funded money. And basically I reached out to the town to make sure we had available. I don't know if you remember at the Memorial Building, we had a large sign, CPA funding, et cetera. Those apparently are still available, and I've reached out to the town and have been communicating, and those will be transported to the site and put in an appropriate place once the project is about ready to begin. We're going to develop a schedule for me to visit because I need to inspect things per the grant award. A couple of things that happened that are good is I had asked for a listing of, they had a design done, and they have cost estimates for the design elements. So there's a list, and I just received it this afternoon. That's why I can't speak to it directly. But there's a list of, a couple dozen specific items that they highlighted that are potentially CPA funds that can be reimbursed. The town can reimburse through CPA the funds that they spent on those issues, and I'll attach that to my memo here. So that's been done. It also lays out somewhat the schedule, et cetera. And basically we agreed that we'll make sure we're in touch during the key stages of the construction process. And we talked about invoicing, and then it's in a reimbursement of grant. And they've agreed with all of that. I think there's not going to be any problems there. And basically that's what I found out. So stand by, but it is moving forward finally.
Good, thank you. Comments from anybody on what Cal just reported? Great, thank you. Next is the Parthenon Freeze, the installation. There,
I
I
can help
believe
with
that,
that. I'm the
Okay.
liaison to that.
okay, go ahead.
So I don't, if you looked at the finance report, you'll see that there was about $14,000 remaining in that account. And it was started to raise some questions about why we had received an invoice from the restoration company for a little bit less than $9,000. Very detailed. We had submitted it to the town for payment. No, but the accounting never changed, and so I did some investigation. Lori Guarini did some investigation. We found out that the payment, the town had no record of payment. I called the restoration company yesterday, and they had no record that it had been paid. So we have resubmitted. We've resubmitted the invoice to be repaid. I've sent it to Josh per town protocol. And basically once that's paid, we will have approximately $5,475 left in the CPC freeze account. There's two items left to be paid out. One is the return transportation from the transportation firm. And there's also a installation budget that's in there. And when you take those two together for the installation budget, because of some additional, there was an additional invoice that was paid back in FY23 carryover funds. We didn't know what that was for. It turns out it was for an engineering firm to come in and do an assessment and a design for strengthening the the academy building for your entry for the hanging of those frieze. We have worked diligently for over a year trying to get a real schedule out of it, and we don't have that. And right now, the schedule for installation will be delayed until probably after early voting is done, because they don't want people working in there during early voting. But I've requested information on that schedule. The freeze are now being stored at I can't remember the name of the company. Anywhere the transportation company is storing it. The town, per the previous town manager, agreed that he would pay for the storage costs, and that's about $250 a month that that town's incurring costs, but not CPC. So my bottom line on that one is, since there's no crating required to bring the restored freezes back in town, we have something on the order of about $2,800 left for the installation cost, against an estimate that was put in at $4,400. So I'm not sure what's going to happen once we actually get the go ahead from the town to actually do the installation. So that's where we are right now. But our budget will finally reflect, probably, hopefully, this is September, probably the October budget would reflect the payment to the to Caproni, the restoration company. Beyond that, I have also requested the company that did the assessment for installation and strengthening of the area. I've requested their report and also their cost estimate for what it would cost, so we know something going forward, how much we may or may not be on the hook for.
Great,
Now I'm
thank
done.
you. I have a question. That invoice for, I think it was $1,140 for the person to do the study.
Yep.
That we, as the CPC, didn't approve. Is the town going to reverse that, or?
It's probably not reversible because it's under the
I think
FY23
Okay,
close.
different fiscal year.
So that's causing some cost issue, but you're right. The company that did this and whoever sent the invoice in inappropriately sent it in for payment by CPC without Gina actually reviewing the invoice. So that's where we're at.
Okay, good, thank you. Any discussion on that? Okay, it'll be nice to see them finally hung. It's another project that's taking an unnecessarily long time to do. But it sounds like it's well on its way, so that's good. Another holiday present for us, maybe. Next is rebinding of the death records book. The award letter has been done. It needs to be signed by the acting town manager when she gets back, and we'll get that off to the town clerk, and she can send the book out to be rebound. Next, project updates. We have a lot of completed projects that we're just waiting for Josh to complete the final reports. And some encumbrances have a balance to it, but we can't request they be closed out until we get the final report and vote on it. So hopefully those will be coming. Next is item E, the Samuel Edson book. We had voted to ask them, or voted for funds to have the book sent to us. I have written to I think it's Mr. Thorner. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head. Richard Thorner, to hear back on that. Then can that question, the postage can be paid from the admin funds. To actually buy the book, can that be admin funds, or does that have to be a project account?
My opinion is that it's a project account because
Okay.
it's not, it may or may not be significant money, but it would probably
Okay.
be a project.
Okay, that was my thought right along, that it would be a project account. I don't know why it just jumped into my head that if it could be an admin expense, but I think you're right, it's a project account.
Gina, could I go back to your previous thing on the project updates? The townhouse, we are waiting for the final report, but I also received information today that a town councilor wants to meet with CED director, Mr. Ruley, and bring me in to discuss, I think, she didn't say what the agenda is, but I think it's about the future of the building. And that includes potential restoration costs.
Good, thank you. And you'll keep us updated on that.
Of course.
Okay. And Kitty Doherty for the Old State Farm Trails, she mentioned in the focus group on, I think it was open space and passive rec, that those trails should be opened next spring. So we look forward to that too. Okay. F, potential new projects. We've talked about the Jenny Leonard Park on Cherry Street, doing something with that, a playground or some type of recreational facility. Multi-functional fields behind the middle school. That's being looked at, and as you said before, the land is owned by the town, but leased to the school. So it has to be worked out with the school, but the town officials have reached out to members of the school committee on that. So they're looking at that too. Basketball courts at both Scotland Field and Legion Field are in drastic need of repair. And I think Pat can attest to that. We did at the focus group for Active Rec we had Jim Small there, who's the Parks and Rec Superintendent, as well as Mark Thomas, who's the Parks and Rec Chair. And they discussed at length with Jen Golson about CPC usage for funding for those. So there's a potential new projects that I see as possibly coming down the line at some point. One of the things that came up at that, I just want to, it's actually probably new business, but it's a potential project, so I'm just going to throw it in here. Mark Thomas had mentioned possibly moving the basketball courts at Legion and making that a parking area and putting it into a different section. Jen mentioned that CPC could fund a study to see the usage, the layout of the field. So it's something that Parks and Rec is going to look at and possibly put in an application for that, to do a study for the best layouts for Scotland and Legion. So that may be
Can I add
coming through. Carlton?
May I add a couple things?
Sure.
What Jennifer spoke to was not just for Legion Field, but she talked about a town-wide rec assessment. What do we need? What's the future look like? What's going on? Who could fund it? That kind of thing. So, and that, I think what she said is that is possibly to fund underneath the admin code as a due diligence planning type document. So
Right.
The other thing is, I've got a major concern in my own mind about the middle school thing and property there. I'm a little bit worried about if the town if we came up with a plan, the town paid for it, and the school committee was all happy with it, that property is controlled, even though the town owns it, the leaser controls that property. And they would have to agree with that. So I'm a little bit concerned about the lease agreement. That may need to be modified to allow the town to do that, and then have some conditions about use. And the other piece that I'm concerned about that is the long term. What happens if the school
Carlton,
department?
Michael Dutton and myself.
May I finish? May I finish?
Can you hear me, Carlton, or no?
Yep.
I can, but I'd like to finish.
Just let Carlton finish his statement, then we'll jump to you. Thanks.
So the point is, there's some concerns. We have to be really concerned about the long-term use in perpetuity. So if the lease needs to be modified for us to use it, I believe. That's just something we need to research. Pat?
Pat, you're on. You're muted, Pat.
I know, I just couldn't get it on. We had preliminary conversations with the superintendent, and Tim Fitzgibbons was looped on it, so they're aware of that, and they understand that. It's similar to Legion Field, I guess. I guess Legion Field, there's a lease agreement where the kids can use the facilities, but the town runs it. So that property, from what I understand, is now under the town's control. So we'd probably have to work out something like Legion Field where the town takes care of it, but during the day the kids can use it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I hear you loud and clear on that, Pat, but I'm concerned about the actual lease and having it in writing to some effect. So I think we
shouldn't do anything until that's worked out. Absolutely.
Correct. I just put it on the record that that's a concern.
I don't know if there's anything, Pat, you're saying about Legion Field and the schools using it. I don't know if there's anything official about that.
Well, we used to, if you look at the school budget, the school used to pay $15,000 to supplement the rec department for the use of that field.
Right. I don't think they've paid that in years and years.
Yeah, it's not, it's funny. It's not in this year's budget. because of this discussion, I went and I asked for the full budget from the school district, and I could see that Rainham pays their Parks and Recs to help maintain the school buildings and stuff. They pay 50 grand a year. And
Mhm.
I was looking for that 15. It has dropped off in recent years. You are correct. But there was,
Okay.
I mean, I think Carlton's right. We don't want to invest and then have the school not maintain it or change their mind and do something else there. I think we want to make sure that if we do it, it comes under our Parks and Rec and we take care of it, and it can't be modified by the school. That has to be broken out of the lease. I think that would be the right way to do it, but I'm sure we'd have to loop Jason Rollins in for that.
Mhm. I'm going to ask my brother too, the former superintendent, I don't know, 2 or 3 superintendents ago, because I believe it stopped either before his time or right after. I'm gonna ask him why it was stopped, if he knows.
Oh, no, it was, I would say, Gina, it went up until 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, so it was in effect when he was still super. Okay, good. Be interesting how that works out too. Anything else on potential new projects? Okay, next for item G under old business, website update. Carlton and I have been working with Josh to add some things in, change the way the CPC site is on the town webpage. So we'll keep working on that with Josh. I know he's swamped too. But we'll report back when we have more. If people have suggestions, CPC members, what they'd like to see on that page, just reach out to us with that. Next is new business. I have no new business unless somebody from the committee does. Okay, again, don't everybody speak at once. H, committee liaison reports. I'll just go in order the way I'm just seeing you on the screen. Myself for Parks and Rec, I kind of updated you. Most of the potential new projects are related to Parks and Rec. Let's see, Maureen.
Hi, on October 5th, there will be an official open house of the new trail over by Wyman's Meadows. It's also going to be renamed. I don't have it right here in front of me, but I can't think of it. I'm not even going to try.
Oh,
But
I
anyhow,
saw that. I can't think of it either.
yeah, I know. It's just, I just can't, I'm just out of my brain. But anyhow, there's going to be like a ribbon cutting type thing, I think at 10 and 11, the public's welcome to come over and give the trail a try.
Good, thank you.
I believe it's rain or shine.
Okay, I have a question on that. I was talking to someone today and I mentioned that, you know, the ribbon cutting was on Saturday. And I said, according to the blurb that went out from the town today, that
Yep.
I guess Maureen had, Eileen had sent,
Yep.
it's just for the ribbon cutting is just for town committees. It's not open to everyone.
Well,
Like-
the only problem might be is that parking.
Okay,
So, you know, if all the town groups want to come, and we don't know how many people that would entail, and parking is almost, it's somewhat limited. It still can take quite a few cars if you park up the street going in.
okay.
But I think that was the thought, is that let the people in the town committees go through first, and then the public can come afterwards.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. I'm planning to
Welcome.
attend that myself.
Me
Good.
too.
Yeah, good. Jeff? Historical Commission?
Nothing new to report. Nothing going on right now.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pat? Planning board, anything?
Well, right now it's kind of quiet, which is good, so.
It's always good when it's quiet. Okay, Harry, Concom.
Our meeting is tomorrow night, and we are awaiting the arrival of a new conservation agent. So in the meantime, we're just taking the small projects, and we have to continue the larger ones.
Okay, and that new agent is going to be shared with another town. Did I get that right?
That's what I heard the last time, yes.
Okay, good. Glad you're finally getting someone. And for the TRWA that you're involved with, 2 Bridgewater people are selected, at least two that I know for the calendar contest. So you'll have to
Right.
look for that when it comes out. Okay, did I miss anybody? Nope, I think that's everybody. Upcoming events. I just want to reiterate the five-year plan public hearing on November 4th. The agenda says 6:30, but as Austin told us, it's been changed to 6 o'clock. Okay, public comment. We have a couple public here, or I guess we have just one left. Any public comment?
Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. No, nothing really. I did find your, while I was watching it, I did find the survey. But I see that you have to do that QR code, or you have to type in, you can't click on the link. You have to actually physically type in the link if you don't want to do a QR code.
Okay, if you look at the one, you're probably looking at the Town of Bridgewater page. If you look on Bridgewater residents or Bridgewater 02324, I have the actual link, so you don't have to type it in.
Oh, okay, maybe that's changed. So I'll look again, but thank you.
Yeah, because I made sure it was there, because I thought the few times I tried to type it in, I was just messing up typing it in. So I made sure the link was in there and that it worked.
And it's a lot easier for people if you can just click on it instead of taking the
Right,
time.
right. If-
Easy is better.
Yep, if
Alright.
it doesn't, you can't get it, just let me know. I'll
Yeah.
send it to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good, thank you. Okay, the next meeting date is October 23rd at 6:30 PM. At that meeting, we should be reviewing the draft of the 5-year plan. We had talked about possibly having a hybrid meeting. We're not sure if we can. Listening back to, I think it was June or July, it was mentioned in one of the council meetings that I just happened to come across this by accident when I was listening for something else. It was mentioned that it was up to the committees whether to do in person or continue with Zoom, but there's no hybrid. So I'm not sure if for this we can do a hybrid. How does the committee feel about hybrid, or do you want to continue it as completely Zoom? As I said, I'm not even sure if we can do a hybrid, but just your thoughts on that.
Gina, I learned a little bit on that from another conversation. Essentially, if you meet, and you may know this, if you meet in 201A as a in-person meeting for a committee, you record that meeting. There's equipment in there that you record that meeting.
Right.
So everything can be recorded, but you do the public notice and say public's invited. The other thing I learned is that if someone in advance a public person that wants to attend the meeting lets us know, then there's some way to actually invite them in. I think it's a little bit like town council does. So it's not a real hybrid meeting, but I think the full open hybrid meeting is discouraged, to be honest.
Right,
But
right.
we could meet in person and have the meeting recorded. That was one of my major concerns. Meeting in person and then not having a scribe to take notes.
Right, and plus, one of the, and I know the council does it, but one of my, and I can probably understand, they probably get a lot more feedback, participation, but I like to be able to have, like we have Janet on tonight, and say it's somebody that wants to be on, but can't get there in person, we can't hear what they have to say because they can't participate. So with that in mind, I
If
tend to
that's the
think,
case, I submit it's an illegal meeting. If the public cannot participate, except if they're there publicly, it could be a serious problem.
okay, but the former town manager had said it's up to the committees, boards, committees, commissions, if they want to meet in person, but no hybrid. So they would have to have, okay, I just answered my own question. They would have to have the people there in person. Got it. I just answered my own question. Sometimes you have to say the question out loud before you can answer yourself, which I did. Okay, so I think as of right now, we'll stick for that one for virtual.
Gina, I'd like to hear other committee members' opinions on what we should do.
Okay, and that's what I had asked for too. Before that, then I was just saying my opinion, but before that, I had asked what the committee thinks.
This is Maureen. I don't really mind either way.
Okay, Jeff?
I'm with Maureen on that one. I'm good either way.
Okay. Pat?
Trying to unmute. Typically I like an in-person meeting, but tonight wouldn't have worked out. You probably heard my 4 kids in the background because we didn't have coverage. So, I mean, I just on the planning board side, I'd like to go back in person. I think something's lost not having it in person, but I'd do what the majority wants. I mean, I think that presentations and stuff might be better in person, but convenience of the Zoom is also nice. So, or whatever, whatever the board wants, whatever you and Carlton decide, but I'm okay with either, I guess.
Okay, good.
Gina, I'm gonna suggest, oh, did I
What?
step on somebody?
We left Harry out.
I'm sorry.
I prefer Zoom meetings, but if they're in person, it's fine with me.
Okay, good. I see pluses and minuses in both. I do have to say the October meeting, if it's in person, chances are I'm not going to make it. I'll be there at the start of it, in person. So I could jump on at 6:30 for Zoom. I could be driving back to Bridgewater and participate on, if it were Zoom. If it were in person, I would be late. And I can't say how late, but probably like a half hour late. But
Well,
okay,
here's my thought. I think the committee, because we're going to receive the initial draft of a 5-year plan, ought to have it in advance like they promised, but then we sit in person and actually have a conversation around it. And we could start the meeting and you could arrive whenever you get there, and we can do the meeting. I don't want you to miss that part of it, but we can start the meeting. I could run certain things, that kind of thing. And as long as it's recorded, I think we should meet in person.
okay, well,
Gina,
yes.
I won't make that meeting.
Okay. Okay, I knew there was one coming up that you had said you wouldn't take, but okay. Okay, we'll have to make sure we have a quorum for that meeting. Okay,
regardless.
okay, we'll let everybody know if it's in person or virtual. Okay. Sounds like it probably will be in person, but we'll discuss it. But we have a chat thing. Hold on. Okay. Janet's mentioned that she has mixed feelings about Zoom versus in person. She's making supper while watching this, so the Zoom is good, but in person also has its plus size. Also, I have to say this many times I've been cooking Janet at the same time as a meeting. But okay, well, Carlton and I can make a decision and we'll let people know in plenty of time so they can plan on it. Okay, anything else about in person or virtual? Okay, if nothing else, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I was gonna say nobody wants to make the motion. Harry, are you seconding it?
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, discussion? There's never discussion on adjourning. Okay, roll call. Gina, yes. Carlton?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
And we lost Pat. Where did? Okay, I'm sure Pat would vote yes, but we still have a quorum, so that's okay. Okay, thank you everybody for taking time for the meeting. Hope to see people at the ribbon cutting. Okay, great. Thank you. Have a good
Night.
night. Okay, bye-bye.